Okay, so we're going to look at multiplying polynomials, and in particular, we're going to look at multiplying binomials. Of course, we have um, two terms in each of our polynomials here. And the method we're going to use, we've done adding and subtracting with polynomials, with binomials, trinomials, and so forth, but we're going to multiply here. And the method we're going to use is using a box method or using an array, basically. So we're going to set up this box. You should have it on your notes paper, but if you don't have it, we can actually draw them in, and I'll show you here a little bit later how we can do that. But we're going to use this. It's going to kind of break it down and make the multiplication visible, and I think it'll kind of help us get to the answer here. So this is how we're going to set it up. We're multiplying this binomial x plus 4 times the second binomial x minus 7. So what we're going to do with the box is we're going to write them in kind of above and then below. So the first one is going to come in here. My x plus 4, I'm going to write in at the top just like that. So make sure you have that. And then the x minus 7 binomial, we're going to go kind of vertically. So I'm going to go x, and then I'm going to do minus 7. Remember, this sign has to keep, this number I should say, has to keep the sign in front of it. So we're going to put that negative 7 there. Once we've done this, and some of y'all multiply using lattice or methods that are similar to this, we're basically going to do a similar thing. So I'm going to multiply first. We're going to go with the x times the x right there. So when we do the x times the x, basically that just gets us an x squared. When you take x and multiply it by itself, you're squaring it, so we get an x squared. Next, we're going to multiply the x times the 4 right there, and x times 4, as you guys know, is going to get us just 4x. We multiply, so not too tricky with the multiplication yet. Then we're going to drop down. We're going to go down to that second row there, and we're going to get our negative 7 here, and we're going to multiply that times x. So negative 7 times x, negative 7 times x is going to get us a negative 7x. And then finally, I've got a negative 7 here. We're just going to multiply that times 4. This time we don't have any variables, so negative 7 times 4 is negative 28. And now we're basically ready to see if we have any like terms, and then write this in expanded form, and basically we have our answer. This is where we combine like terms and we get this thing knocked out. So we're going to start with our exponents. X squared, I only have one, no real like terms here, so I'm going to just put x squared to start off my expanded form answer here. I got my x squared done. After that, look at these 4x terms. So I've got a 4x there. I mean my x terms, I'm sorry, and then a negative 7x. So basically we can combine the like terms here. I've got a 4x minus 7x is going to get negative 3x, going to be in the negatives there. And then that knocks those out, and I'm just left with that negative 28. So I just put minus 28. And essentially I have multiplied the binomials here, combined the like terms, and I've got the answer to the first one. All right, let's try it again. So very similar here. This one just includes some exponents. So slightly more difficult with that, but let's check it out. Let's write it in. So remember, we're going to take our first polynomial here, binomial I should say, and let's write it in. So this is 4x squared. And then we can include our plus sign plus y. So I wrote that one up top, fix that plus sign a little bit. All right, then along the vertical row, let's put 3x squared and then minus 8y. Remember to keep the sign with the 8y there. Okay, then we're going to do our multiplication, our lattice method for those of y'all that have done that before. So I'm going to multiply. Now check this out. We're going to do a 3x squared times a 4x squared. Here's something kind of new. Well, 3 times 4 is not new. You know what that is. That's 12. But when you multiply an x squared times an x squared, you actually have to add. When you multiply exponents, you have to add the exponents together. So I've got a 2 and a 2 there. So that's going to get me 12x to the 4th power. Okay, when you multiply them, add them together. All right. Then we've got 3x squared times a y. That looks kind of complicated, but not too much. It's just going to be 3x squared, and then we're just going to throw the y at the end of it. 3x squared y. That's not going to change a whole lot. We just put the y on. All right, after that, let's drop down. negative 8y here. We're going to multiply that times the 4x squared. And let's do the numbers first. So 4 and negative 8 should get you a negative 32. Negative 32, I think I could write that a little nicer. And then negative 32 x squared y. You always want to put the x variable first. So I'm doing the x squared and then the y. So negative 32 x squared y, and I'm actually going to clean it up, get a little bit of space, but should be able to see how that works there. And then finally, to finish this out, negative 8y times just the y right over there. So that's going to be just an 8. The number's not going to change. I've got a negative 8. And negative 8, y times y times y here is y squared. So I'll knock that out, and we'll put y squared. Now, after we've done this, it's time to write it out in that expanded form, and then see if we have any like terms as we do that. So look at the exponents. I've got a 12x to the 4th right over here. Nothing to combine that with on my 12x to the, I almost miswrote it, 12x to the 4th. Okay, got that one. On this x squared y do have some like terms there. So let's look at the numbers. I've got a 3 and a negative 32. Well, positive 3, negative 32, that's basically like negative 32 plus 3 or 3 minus 32 is going to get us at negative 29. And then I'm just going to put that x squared y. That takes care of that, and I'm left over with just a negative 8y squared. I apologize for kind of running into that negative 8 at the end, but I'm going to box in our answer. And there we go. We've multiplied binomials again and combined our like terms. You won't always have, there can be some times when you don't have like terms. So you might multiply them out inside of each of your boxes and find that you don't have any like terms, and you just write them all down, and that's your answer. So don't let that throw you off if you find that. And we're going to do one more where we draw it in, just to make sure this is kind of hitting home all the way. But I've got this negative 3x plus 2y. We're going to multiply it times 3 minus 7x. So on this one, let's draw in our own little binomial. Make it a little smaller, give us a little space. Okay, so I'm going to go like this. Give us some space to write it down. And remember, it's 2 by 2 because we've got binomials here. If we had trinomials in here, we would need to change the size of this. This wouldn't work if we were multiplying a trinomial. That'll be something different that we'll see down the line. So this works right now when we're multiplying binomials times binomials, and we'll check this out, okay? All right, let's write it in. I got negative 3x. Last example here, negative 3x plus a 2y. Vertical side, let's do 3 minus 7x. And I've got everything in, and let's go ahead and do the math. So in the first part, I'm going to get negative 9x. Negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. In the second one, I'm not going to use the arrows here. I've got 3 times 2y, which should get me 6y. And actually, I just want to clean up that x a little bit so it's clear. So I've got a 6y there. At the bottom, negative 3. So on the bottom, just to make sure you catch me here, we're doing the negative 3 right over there and the negative 7x. That's going to get a straight 21. The negatives will cancel out, and I should get 21x squared. And then at the top, last one, I've got 2y. I'm going to multiply that times a negative 7. Should be negative 14 to start with. 2 times negative 7 is negative 14. X and then y. Negative 14, clearly xy. Okay. All right, from here, we kind of look at this. Do we have any like terms? Do we have anything? Let's start writing it out. Let's go with the bigger exponents first. So let's look at the 21x squared that I've got right there. No other x squared, so I'm good there. Let's do that minus 14xy. Minus 14xy. Okay, no like terms for that. And actually, there are no like terms, so I'm just going to come in and write this down. And actually, I should have done this lower. Let me write this down here. So 21x squared minus 14xy minus 9x, just so you know where it's coming from. That was that one right there. And then 6y, it's just there. Remember, if it doesn't have a sign in front of it, we're going to make that a positive value plus 6y. I'm going to erase what we had there. And we've multiplied the binomials here. Didn't have any like terms to combine, and we take it from here. So here's some examples on multiplying binomials.